Minecraft.
Hello everyone, this is Mr. Minecraft back again with another video. And today I'm going to be showing you what I put on the outside of my build, the Great Bay City. Now this is a massive city, and what I don't see a lot of in Minecraft build is a large city with a large enough farm outside of it to feed the people in that city. Now obviously people in that city are going to need food, but I don't usually see a lot of people account for that in their builds. So I wanted to build a bunch of different farms outside my city. Now this is actually the very first field I built. It's a decent enough design. It's made out of stone, cobblestone, mossy cobblestone, andesite, and it really looks like you've got a stone wall built around your field, and it's got a nice look to it. You know, it's not all samey like if you use an oak wood fence or a brick wall. Now, however, I don't like this look. It is kind of plain. You see a lot of stone in the world, but it really doesn't blend in with the environment well. So what I ended up doing was I went with this kind of build. Now if you look, all it is spruce leaves and oak leaves surrounding a field, so it looks like the field has hedges around it, which is something you'd actually see in medieval times. Now this is the very starting point for all the farms I built. If you look around this city, there is exclusively farms, and it took a long time to build. These farms stretch all the way around the city, and I'll be showing you that today. Now if you look, for some of the fields I went with different designs. This one, I wanted it to look like there were crop rows. And for this one over here, I didn't actually plant any pumpkins to go with the pumpkin blocks. Now the reason for that is because you get a lot of different animals walking on your pumpkins and falling onto the seeds. So I just put in the blocks. Same with the watermelon. Now as I went on, I kind of got away from using stone for the farmhouses, but there is one exception to that, and that is right here. And this big house, I wanted to stand out. So I used nether quartz. It stands out really well against the dark oak wood planks. And I rearranged the oak wood planks in a way I don't do for most of these houses to give it a look that stands out. Now, as we go on, you'll see more and more of these little jungle wood trees. Now, I really like how these look, and I use them in a ton of builds because they're easy to access. You know, if you plant and grow a jungle wood tree, it can be so tall that you can't even reach the top of the tree. So I wanted them to be really easy to get to, and you'll see a ton of these in this build. Now, as we go on, you'll see that each and every house is actually connected with one of these paths. And I wanted that to be exactly how each house was built. You know, if you have a house, you're going to need to get to it at some point, and there will definitely be a path going to that house. Now, if you look here, I've got a field that's been harvested. And this was important to make because you're going to get a lot of staleness if all you're doing is planting wheat or potatoes or carrots. You want to have some variety, and these fields add that variety. Now this one is actually lacking something I decided to use in other harvested fields further on into the build, which is just the occasional little sprout of wheat, because you're not going to get all of the plants out of this one field. Clearly they've harvested most of it into these bales, but there's always going to be a little bit of that wheatgrass still standing. Now, as we go along here, I ended up adding more and more windmills, because if you're a farmer who's growing wheat, you need windmills to turn that wheat into flour, which is really important for any kind of baking. Now, if you look here, I've got a massive amount of these little junglewood trees, and I like how they look. They look like something that you would grow and farm and get a lot of cocoa beans from. Now, I've also thrown in plants like these sweet berries on the outside of fields just because, not everything you plant is going to be surrounded in a field. Now, as we go along, you can see just how many farms I built into this settlement on the outside of the walls of the Great Bay City. Now, I have literally every crop you could want in this build. I have wheat, I have beetroot, I have sweet berries, I have pumpkins, and I even have glowberries growing on these vines here. Now, as we go along, I also added beehives. Now, bees make honey. It's a really nice little mob to add. They fly around and they do their own thing, gathering nectar from flowers. And it gives you a good excuse to just have a field of flowers and bees. Now, I've always liked bees. They're really cool in my opinion. Sometimes the honey can be a bit of a pain to get because, you're not always going to have a beehive spawn right near where your build is. Of course, this only matters in survival. If you're doing it in creative, you don't have to worry about having access to bees. You've got access to everything. Now, I'm planning on expanding this out even further, but let's finish the tour with this little island right here. Now, I built a lot of windmills along this shoreline because you'd want to get the wind that's blowing in from across the ocean. And this is a massive body of water. I've mapped it out. I've used 4x4 maps, and it is huge. Honestly, it goes further than I could have ever expected. Now, as you can see, I wasn't kidding. You actually do have crops growing all the way around this city, even onto this bay. Now, I'm not going to show you too much of this because I want to do it in another video. But this has been a tour of the Great Bay City and its farms. Now, next time, I think I'll have another video showing you some ideas of what you can make in Minecraft. But for now, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.